So hi, it is week 2. It's another week of reading. To keep things up to date, I'm between a couple of books right now. Today is the 7th, it is Wednesday, and I am really slow in my reading right now. I am in between the first volume of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I am about halfway through it. I hope to finish that tonight, and then the other book that I'm in the middle of is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. Finally have picked this up and gotten a good chunk into it. I am about 122 pages in it right now, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's taking a little bit of getting into it and kind of feeling out the book. I mean, I'm only 120 pages in, so that's my reading update. I am currently watching The Conjuring 2. I spent today watching the first Conjuring movie, and I'm about halfway through Conjuring 2. I really love this series, and it's grown on me more and more each time I watch it. Good morning. It is Thursday. Finished reading The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina last night and loved it. When this first started, the first few pages in, I was honestly kind of worried that it was just going to be okay. Little did I know that it was going to take a completely different turn than the show does and go in a much darker, more twisted, intense direction that I was not expecting. This is so much darker and so much gorier and weird and just off-putting compared to the show. Which, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the show, but this was just so much better because it doesn't try to play nice. It instantly goes for like the darkest things that it could possibly do, and I love that. Art, like I said before, was something that was taking me a little while to get used to, and once you get used to it, it really adds to the story and adds to that creepy vibe because things are just so disturbing, and I very clearly loved it. Talking about what this completes, the Screamathon, one of the prompts there, I had it for Scream the TV show, which was to read a spin-off. Outside of that, I've been kind of just watching movies. I finished The Conjuring 2 last night. I think I'm going to try and watch Get Out again next. Today is Friday. I have actually finished a book. I finally, after way too long of trying to read this, finished When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole, and I really enjoyed this, and I love Alyssa Cole's writing. I really enjoy how she writes everything and how she writes out characters. I really enjoyed the characters in this a lot, and being able to have both their perspectives was really great as well. This does follow both Sydney and Theo as they're both going through all of this, and I think it was done in an incredibly great way. Very Get Out vibes. This does have a slow build and then everything happens all at once at the end. I ended up giving it 5 stars. It's more of like a 4.5, I think. I'm really glad I picked this up. Alyssa Cole's definitely somebody that I'm going to continue reading. I'm hoping to continue on with more of her romance novels soon, but honestly, if she keeps writing thrillers, I will be picking those up as well. I used it for Screamathon. It was to complete the Stabathon prompt, which was just reader's choice to pick whatever you wanted, and I really wanted to read that, so I put it for that one. To update my movie watching that I've been doing so far this week, oddly enough, without even thinking about it, I ended up rewatching Get Out, which was weird reading this and watching that at the same time. I love Get Out. Get Out's just so good. This was my second time watching through it. Just so well done and so well shot, and the characters are fantastic. To a completely different spectrum of horror movies, and ended up watching Jennifer's Body. I remember Jennifer's Body coming out in theaters, and I remember seeing the trailers and everything for it, and I went to go see it in theaters, and I didn't like it. A couple of videos that I had watched kind of went on a full discussion about the story of Jennifer's Body and everything that went on behind the scenes and into the marketing of it. And watching those videos really gave me a new perspective on this movie and on Megan Fox, honestly. And so one of the things I really wanted to do this year was try and rewatch that, and I have a much bigger respect for this movie than I did the first time watching it. But the books that I'm hoping to read is Crave or The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Both vampire books, both books I very much want to read this month. So I'm going to try and decide between those in a minute. Other two things that I want to try and read are ones that I have to physically read. They're both the Buffy themed books that I have on my TBR this month, and that is the Grimoire as well as the Buffy yearbook. So I do not have a reading update. Yes, I know, it is the 11th, and I still am very slow in my reading. I did not read anything yesterday, and I'm gonna take that as my weakness when it comes to the Hocus Pocus Readathon. But I do have a haul. I wanted to haul a couple of books that I picked up today. The first one being the Honey Don't List. I think this is supposed to be about a couple that does home remodeling. Behind the scenes, the relationship isn't actually doing well and they hate each other. Then I picked up The Worst Best Man. I'm pretty sure this is a hate to love. Our main character was left at the altar and ends up having to, some kind of deal or something happens to where she has to work with the best man that was going to be at her wedding, and they hate each other. And then the last thing that I picked up today was actually the Blu-ray for Paul. So to kind of update my movie watching right now, I've been going through the Cornetto trilogy, which if you don't know what the Cornetto trilogy is, please go watch these movies. They're all fantastic. Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. And so I've been going through and watching all of those, and I'm in the middle of Hot Fuzz, and I'm hoping to finish that today. I love these three movies. I think they're fantastic. Remembering that Paul exists, which this isn't an Edgar Wright film, but it does have Nick Frost and Simon Pegg in it. Been a really long time since I watched it, so my plan is to finish Hot Fuzz and then probably watch this and just continue my Simon Pegg Nick Frost marathon that I have going on. I only have one update on reading. Before I get into that though, I did finish watching Hot Fuzz as well as watched Paul and really enjoyed both. The one thing that I did end up reading last night was there's a lot of glare. The Buffy the Vampire Slayer yearbook. First few end pages are all signings from the main characters, and I really enjoyed reading through these because each feel like the characters actually wrote these. Specifically, Giles just had so much emotion in it that I was not expecting to feel so quickly. I will say that eventually reading these full paragraphs that are just about the school, it's literally just like an actual yearbook, but I don't know these people. If it's not following the main characters, it's just kind of like, okay, well, I would skip this if it was my yearbook, so I'm gonna probably skip this in here. So I eventually just got to a point where I was skimming through those paragraphs and mostly just reading the really fun small stuff in here. This checked off one for the Slayerfest, which was Sunnydale High, which is a book that has a school as the setting. I have actually started and am a good chunk of the way into the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I started this last night and just have been straight on listening to it ever since. I've got probably about 100 pages left. I'm going to try and power through this here shortly and finish this up, but I have Bookmail. Marissa Meyer, her Lunar Chronicles series just got revamped. So I bought the full set for the main series when they came out forever ago, and then they did revamped covers for the novellas. So the first one I have here is Ferris. This is gorgeous and stunning, and I love it. One of the things that is great about these is on the inside of this flap is actually some fan art. And then the other one that came out was Stars Above. So nice and gorgeous, and I love this deep blue. I'm like getting emotional. I love this. This is gorgeous. I finished the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires and really enjoyed it. It's probably going to end up being a 4-star for me. There was just a lot of slow moments where I could easily see myself getting too bored with the story, but I really enjoyed it a lot. I think it's a very interesting take on parenthood in these situations, and that made it very heartwarming and nice. Relationships between all the women in the book club, seeing them kind of change and grow over the course of the story was also really good. It had a lot of moments where I was feeling extreme emotions over things. I'm trying to do this without spoiling anything. There's just a lot of moments that make you angry. I think the ending was great. It was just wonderful to read. I was enjoying how just completely simple everybody was acting about something so vicious. It was fantastic, and I couldn't help but grin during this entire experience. That whole scene was hilarious to me. Okay, so I actually had to leave because I didn't realize what time it was and I needed to go to the store to talk about what it completes. For Gothtober, I was using this for female protagonist. Spooktober, I was using this for the refreshments for Punch Bowl. It was to read a book with a character who fights. I know I used this for one for Screamathon, which was Woodsboro, which is a book that's set in a small town setting. And then I also used this for Slayerfest. This was the Bronze, which was either a light read or anticipated read. This is definitely not a light read, but it was an anticipated read for me. So my plan is to read Crave next, so I'm going to try and start that either tonight or tomorrow. So I realized that I never
never did an outro, so I wanted to end the vlog here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog, and I will see you guys next week.